So before we start the video, guys, do not forget the 30,000 subscriber giveaway does end at 12 PM this Sunday night, so you've got 2 full days to get any remaining orders in at our sponsors SP Supplies. So just a quick reminder of the rules. You need to be subscribed to my channel, you need to order any item whatsoever from SP Supplies, enter Tony's Refinishing into the notes at the checkout, and that will immediately enter you into this prize draw. Also, before we start this video, I just wanted to say that this video and its products are not sponsored. They have not been sent to me for review. These are tests that we're running ourselves, and I was that impressed I wanted to make this video for you. Hi guys, so in today's video we're going to be taking a look at the Multimix Hyper Silver. So this is a virtual chrome effect silver. It's a spray-on product. We've been testing this now for a few weeks for a job that we were going to be potentially doing in the shop. So we've done, I don't know, maybe use about 5 litres of this now. We've got the process 100% dialed in to the point where we're happy with it on anything from a small part like a speed shape right up to, I think the biggest part we've done so far is about 2 meters squared, which is a huge part to attempting a product like this. But if you get the process dialed in, it's brilliant to use. It leaves a good reflective finish. So in this video, I'm going to take you through all the things that we've found that are best to do with it to get the best results, and all the processes and all the steps and everything along the way. So to start off with, one of the biggest things is going to be the ground coat that you've got underneath this. So I have found personally that black will give you the most reflective, and be the best way of putting it, chrome finish when you've actually finished all the processes, and it's absolutely key to get the cleanest, smoothest base layer that you can. Now there's a few ways of doing this. You could use like a direct gloss, or you could use like a 2K direct gloss as the base colour, or you could use black base coat and clear coat. Now I've found that with the direct gloss it takes a little bit longer to dry through, so with a base and clear and using something like a fast drying clear coat, I found that the next day after prepping or like getting some panels like these in particular ready, that these panels are a lot more cured and will take the silver and give a better reflection using base coat and clear coat. Now these were air dried overnight, they've then had a short bake this morning, so they're fully cured and ready to go for the silver application process. Now spray gun wise, it's recommended that the smaller tip the better. You want this, it's a very, very thin product, so you want it to atomize as finely as possible. So I've been using the SATA MiniJet 3000B HVLP with a 0.8. On small to medium things, so anything from like speed shape size up to like a motorbike tank, a gun like this would be absolutely ideal. Now the bigger panels that we've done, there was no way that we were going to be able to do it with such a small gun, with such a small fan. So we moved right up to a large gun with a 1.2, but that process did take a couple of attempts to get the amount of product we were putting down and everything absolutely spot on. You do need to be extremely careful that you don't put this product on wet. You want to almost dust it on, but you don't want to go too dry and create a lot of overspray. At the same time, you do not want a wet layer going on at all. The wetter you put it, the more dull the chrome will go. The lighter you apply it, the brighter the chrome finish will end up. Now as far as the ground coat colours, you can use it over white, you can use it over grey, you can use it over black. We found for coverage, the best for coverage was to use it over a very dark grey, and I'll put a little swatch up in this corner of a RAL colour that we used, which we found the best for coverage on the larger panels. On smaller things where coverage and the amount of product you're using isn't going to be as much of an issue, then I would move towards black, because it does give you the best final reflection on a product. And I will show you a range of bits that we've done at the end of the video to give you an idea what it looks like once it's based and clear coated. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fire the booth up, I'm going to switch over cameras, we'll put some chrome in the gun, and then we'll go through the application process of the actual silver layer, so you can see how we're applying it and the steps you need to go through whilst you're applying the silver layer. Now the way that we did these, we based and cleared these the night before and let them air dry overnight, gave them a short bake. Now Obviously, sat in the booth overnight, you can get a little bit of dust landing on them. Whatever you do, do not use a tack rag or anything like that on them. You want to try and do this with the least amount of touching this black layer as possible. So we use the stack gun for that, so we could just remove any excess dust that settled on it overnight. Then we've got the SATA Jet 3000B out. Now I've got this at only 1 turn out on the fluid. I'm running it around about 2.5 to 3 bar, so a lot of pressure, so I'm getting a really fine mist. And as you can see in the video, for this first coat, we're just going to do a very light coat. Now, once this coat has finished, I am leaving this around about 10 minutes at 20 degrees with the booth running, so the airflow will help flash it off. Now, before you apply the next layer, use a really nice plush soft microfiber like this. Do not touch this panel with your hand or gloves or anything like that, and just give it a very gentle wipe off to remove any overspray from the first layer, because you are putting it on so light, you are creating overspray on the panel, and that overspray will start dulling it off if you don't remove it. So a very, very nice light coat, and as you can see, it barely looks like I'm putting anything on. It's the tiniest amount per layer. Now, I have found that over black, 5 very sort of careful, controlled layers like this is absolutely perfect. Now, it won't use a lot of chrome, and you need to be careful to make sure that you leave that 10 minutes between each layer. So now we're on the 3rd layer, because as this silver hits the 2K ground coat that's on there, the silver will slightly soften like the clear layer or the gloss layer, whichever, depending on what you've used. So if you try and wipe this too soon without letting it flash off, that layer will still be a little bit soft, so you need to be very careful. And in between each coat, when you get the microfiber again, like I'm doing here, I am being very, very light and very careful not to press on too hard. So this is final coat number 5. Every single coat has been done the same. A very, very light mist. I am not putting it on wet at all. If you do get some of this and you get a little test part like this, as soon as you hit this wet, you will see that like brilliant reflection. It will just dull off and look extremely hazy. Now, when you clear these, they do dull off slightly anyway. So the brighter the reflection that you can get now, the better it's going to be once we've put the water-based sealer on and then we've cleared it. So bar them little specks of dust that you can see on top, which you can remove with a stack gun in a minute, that is now completely done. That's the final finished part. The next, as far as the silvering process goes, the next stage that we're going to need to do is to leave this now. I have found at least 4 hours. So I left this for 4 hours to let the silver and that 2K layer really flash off, let all the solvents evaporate out of that layer, so that when we come to put the water-based sealer on, which is what I'm going to do now, so we're using the SATA 3000B, because it atomizes it really fine. We can get really light mist coats on there. So the water-based sealer is basically like the water-based wet bed tinter on a scheme that you would use for doing like your metallic blends and stuff like that. It looks milky as it goes on, but as it dries down, it will dry clear. This, and adding this process in, is basically so that when we put the clear coat on, which has obviously got solvent in it, it will stop the solvents in the clear coat from attacking that chrome and that silvered layer as much. So we've put one on, I dried it down with the gun, and then I left that layer 10 minutes. And then I'm coming across with a second mist coat. Now my first mist coat was about 50% coverage. This second coat is taking it up to around 75% coverage. And then on my third mist coat, I took it up to around 100% coverage. In between each one, I dried it off with the gun first, using the air from the gun, as you can see me doing there. Then I would leave it 10 minutes once I dried it down with the gun before I went back and shot another coat on it. Now, once I'd finished this whole process, I then left this an hour before I then applied clear over it, again to let as much flash off time in between each process as I could. the slower you do this process, the better the final result will be. And I can guarantee, I can vouch for that, because we literally have used 5-6 litres of this, and I've just ordered another 4 litres of this for a job that we've got on this weekend or early next week. And you can see here, as I'm drying that layer down, so this little bit of footage is sped up, you can see that slight brightness coming back in the chrome, but it's not fully back yet. Don't worry about that, because when we put the clear on, this will brighten up and obviously become a lot more reflective. For the clear coat stage, I'm using a rapid clear, so it flashes off nice and quick, and I'm putting that through an IWATA W400 with a 1.2. Again, I'm just doing this in light mist coats, so we're going to do this in 3 coats like we did with the water-based sealer. We're just going to go again for, I'd say, a 50% coat, just a half mist coat. We're not looking for a sealed, a fully closed coat on this coat. I then gave that a 10-minute flash off. I'd then come back in 10 minutes later, put number 2 coat on, which you can see me doing here. Again, I'm only going for a half coat. So as I come round to this side, you'll see now, as that clear is just slowly starting to build up, the reflections coming back into this panel. Now, don't get carried away like I did once and think to yourself, I'm going to make this a full wet coat, because this clear will attack the silver if you go too wet. So again, 3 coats, 10 minutes in between each coat, and this 3rd coat is just one fine wet coat, and that is it. I'm not adding thinners into the clear, again, because I don't want to add more solvent that can attack the silver. And out of the probably 50-60 hours worth of tests that we've done, just to see how far we can push the finish on this, we've got this nailed now, so that we've got a process that we can replicate this exact finish every single time without fail. And that's a little bit of a view of it outside. As you can see, it's very much kept its reflection. This bit of footage, to be fair, doesn't do it justice, because it was a very sunny day and it was a bit awkward to try and get it to look right. But you'll see in a second. So as you can see then, that is the finished article. That's now nice and reflective. We've got the clear coat on there, so you've got that bit of UV protection on there, so whether it's indoors or outdoors, not only is it not obviously going to scuff up because the silver's not on the surface, but you've also got the added extra now as that has also got some UV stability to it, and some UV protection to it as well. I know when I spoke to Jordan about this at Multimix, he said that they can supply a tiny little bit of extra UV additive if you wanted to, if it was something that was going to be like outside all the time. But the Multimix Hyper Silver is definitely a product that I personally would recommend. It's what we've been looking at for a project that we might have coming up, and I will leave a link in the description to the Hyper Silver from our sponsors at SP Supplies. So if any of you guys are looking at personally what I think is the best out of any of these sprayable silvers that I've seen, then you can just grab some off the link in the description, give it a test, and as I say, as long as you follow the way that we've done it today, you're really nice and light and gentle and take your time at each step, then you should have no issues. So that's it for me for this week's video, guys. I hope you've enjoyed, and I shall see you again soon. Bye for now.